Okay, so I have a glitch in the Matrix story. It's crazy. 10 years ago, I was dating this guy. And, we made plans for him to come over one evening because my daughter was going to be away at a friend's house. She was going to stay the night at her friend's, and it was just me and my daughter. So I'm going to be home alone. I make these plans. I'm like, whatever, come over at whatever time. And before he got there, I wanted to take a quick bath. So I'm in the bathtub. He texts that he's going to be there in 5-10 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I got to make it quick, whatever. So I'm in the bathtub and I hear his truck on the road in front of my house. And I literally hear it pull in the driveway. There was my driveway was gravel. So I hear him pull in, right? And then I hear my door open. Now I had left it unlocked, but I closed it. So in order to open it, you literally have to turn the handle and push in. So anyway, I hear that happen. I hear the door handle turn. It even had a noise. I don't know, it was just an old door, whatever, it had a noise. And I hear the noise of the doorknob turning and the door push open. But then I don't hear anything else. And I'm like, hey, I'm in the bathtub. I'll be out in a minute. Just wait for me in the living room, whatever. So I start to get out. I start to get ready. And then I hear his truck again. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. What? Okay, that's weird. And I'm like, whatever, I'm getting ready, getting dressed, whatever. And I hear the screen door ching ching, I don't know, whatever noise that makes. And I literally hear him boom, 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 walk up the steps. And I'm a little weirded out, but I kind of yell out the same thing, hey, wait for me in the living room. I'll be out, whatever. So as I'm getting ready, I sort of put that out of my head because I'm focused on getting ready. And I go out to the living room. I'm like, hey, thanks for, I'm so happy to see you, whatever. And I was like, hey, weird question. When you got here, was the door closed? The, actual door, not the screen door. I'm like, was the actual back door closed? He was like, no, it was open. I just had to open the screen door. And my eyes went wide and I had this wave of terror come over me. And I was like, somebody is in the house. We got to go check. I'll take the downstairs, you check up here, whatever. So I run down the basement steps and I'm checking in all the nooks and crannies. I don't see anybody. I hear him upstairs walking around, checking rooms, whatever. So I come padding back up the basement steps and I see him in the hallway and I'm going to try to reenact what he looked like. He was like this. Just freaking out. He looked white, like he couldn't talk. And I'm like, what did you find? What's going on? And he's like, where were you? And I was like, I was in the basement. He was like, the whole time you were in the basement, you just came up. I'm like, yes, what is going on? He goes, I just saw you walk into your bedroom and I thought it would be funny to come up from behind you and scare you. I saw you crouch down as if you were looking under the bed for something or somebody, because we were checking for intruders. He goes, I saw you crouch down and I started to come up to scare you. Then I hear you walking up the basement steps. My head turns, I turn back. The you that I saw is gone. And now you're here. And what the hell just happened? And so we were actually really freaked out. We were so creeped out. And then I proceed to tell him about, I heard your truck, driving in front of my house, come up the driveway. I heard the doorknob go and the door open. What? And then I heard you again. I heard you arrive again, whatever. It was 3 or 4 minutes after that, in between the arrival of the first, I don't know, doppelganger. I don't know. And then when he actually arrived, and we actually slept in the living room that night because we were so freaked out. not only by like, you know, me hearing him arrive, but he actually didn't arrive. And then him seeing my doppelganger, we were freaked. We were freaked. So that's my my glitch in the Matrix story. I've never had anything happen like that since, and I had never had anything happen like that before. It was just weird.
If you've never experienced a glitch in the Matrix, this is probably not the video for you, so just continue scrolling because you're going to think that I'm crazy. If you have experienced it, I want to know if anyone has experienced anything similar to this, especially from a young age. So I've had multiple glitches throughout my life, especially now that I've gotten older, I can understand what's happening. But I want to talk about the very first one. The very first one that I can remember that I was like, am I crazy or are all of you crazy? So this is around 4th or 5th grade, elementary school. My grandma would pick me up from school 2 to 3 times a week. We were very close. My grandma lived like rock throwing distance from my house. So I would literally travel up the creek through the woods to my grandmother's house that I would go. I would spend all my time with my grandma. So after school, she would pick me up and we would go to Wendy's. That was our thing. We loved Wendy's. My grandma has very prominent blue eyes, like crystal clear. It's a very prominent feature about my grandma that she has very blue, piercing crystal blue eyes. So this one day, she picks me up. We go to Wendy's. We're sitting in the glass area. If you know Wendy's back then you know what I'm talking about. We're sitting there eating our fries, and I look up at my grandma, and my grandma has brown eyes. They're brown. And so naturally, I was like, Grandma, your eyes are brown. And she was like, yeah, Lauren, I have brown eyes. I was like, Grandma, no, you don't. You have very blue eyes. What do you mean you have blue eyes? And she was like, no, Lauren, I have brown eyes. So whatever, we eat. She takes me home, and this is the whole thing. I talked to my mom, too, and I'm like, Mom, Grandma has brown eyes. And my mom was like, yeah, Grandma has brown eyes. No, she doesn't. She has blue eyes. What do you mean she has brown eyes? Like, everyone knows that Grandma has blue eyes, and everybody was making me believe that I was crazy. The next time that I see my grandma, 3 days later, my grandma has blue eyes again. So, of course, I'm like, Grandma, your eyes are blue. Why are your eyes blue? And she's like, yeah, Lauren, I have blue eyes. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? We just had this conversation 3 days ago when you had brown eyes, and I told you that you have blue eyes, and you're telling me that you have brown eyes, but I know that you have blue eyes, and now that you have blue eyes again, you're telling me that you know you have blue eyes? I'm not crazy. This was not a dream. I did not dream this. This happened. This was reality. I mean, it was like Monday on Thursday. Now you have blue eyes again? Like, I did not make this up. This is still with me to this day. I think about this to this day. My grandma had brown eyes that day that I went to Wendy's with her after school. I didn't make that shit up. Like, that was reality. I didn't miss a day. Like, this happened. Has anybody else ever experienced anything like that? With people's eyes changing colors? And they fully believe that their eyes were a different color. I'll never forget that.
So y'all tell me if y'all feel like this was a glitch in the Matrix or not. This is a story I've been told multiple times by my mother, by my grandparents, and this is my grandparents' story. So I don't recall I think my grandmother was pregnant when this situation happened. And her and my grandfather had been driving on the New Jersey Turnpike. And they had been driving for a while. There's a lot of tolls and stuff like that. And my grandmother really had to pee. So they took the exit off of the turnpike. I don't know if anything has changed, but as long as I've known about the New Jersey Turnpike, there are no exits. And this was back in like the 70s. So my grandfather said that they took this exit off of the highway and they ended up driving down this dirt road. Like, it seemed like the road wasn't finished. So they're driving down this dirt road and they see this building. And my grandmother's like, okay, go over to that building because I got to pee. I'm going to see if they got a bathroom. So they drive up, my grandfather drives them up to the building. They said it was just one building and it was like nothing else around it. It was still just dirt and stuff like that. But they weren't really thinking too much of it because my grandmother really just had to pee. They said, I think it was nighttime too. And they said that there were lights on in the building. Like there were lights on, but they couldn't find a door. She said she kept walking around the building and she couldn't find the door to get into the building. So she decided to just piss on the side of the road, right? She goes on the side of the road. They get back in the car. They go on the same road until they come back around to get onto the New Jersey Turnpike again. Once they got on the New Jersey Turnpike again and they had gotten up to that following toll, they got in trouble because they were like, how did you make it through all of these tolls without paying, without somebody seeing you? Like you skipped hella tolls. And my grandfather was like, we took the exit to try to find my wife a bathroom, and we just hopped back on the turnpike. The toll operator was like, there are no exits on the New Jersey Turnpike, so that it's no way that you could have skipped all of these tolls and made it down here. There's no exit to get off of this turnpike at all. What do y'all think that was? Was that a glitch in the Matrix? I feel like it was.
Weirdest thing just happened to me. I did this puzzle back at home in Jersey before I moved to the city. I wanted to frame it as decor because look how beautiful she is. It took me days to finish, mostly because a large portion is like one color. And once I finished, I realized there was one piece missing. Like, of course. I searched high and low for this piece. I looked in every crack, crevice, crease in my room to find this missing piece, but she was nowhere to be found. So I realized it might be like a manufacturing issue. But I framed it anyway because I decided to use it as a metaphor. Life is never complete. There's always room for growth, and perfection is never the goal. The other night, I left my apartment for a bit, and then when I came back, I tossed my keys on my bed. And when I picked them up, the missing piece was under my keys. I was like, what? I was perplexed. Like, I thought this was a glitch in the Matrix, parallel universe, timeline jumping, whatever. I was like, I did this puzzle in a completely different state. How does it appear beneath my keys in New York after all that moving, everything? I just don't understand it. I'm so happy and excited that I can finally finish this, but like, what the heck? I need to know if anyone else has experienced any glitch in the Matrix things. So let me know your stories because I'm genuinely curious about this topic.
I just witnessed my first glitch in the Matrix or timeline jump today. Not my usual content, but I have to share this because I'm still like, anyway. So this morning, I go to run the dishwasher and, it's all loaded, go to put the dishwashing detergent in. Tell me why. The place I usually put it in on that little console, so usually when we put it in, it's on the right. Tell me why this morning, it's on the left side. And the shape's different. And I'm like, no. Nope, this is, no. And then like, close my eyes and I'm like, take some deep breaths. You're dreaming. This is crazy. Open my eyes again. It is still on the left side when it is supposed to be on the right side. And I'm like, am I having a stroke? Am I losing my mind? What is happening? So I call my husband because my husband does the dishes and runs the dishwasher just as much as I do. Equal opportunity household. So I call him and he answers and I'm like, thank God. So I'm like, babe, I feel like I'm losing my mind and I need you to tell me that I'm not losing my mind. Okay. And he was like, okay, what's going on? And I said, when you load the dishwasher and you're about to run it, what side do you put the dishwashing detergent on? If the thing is open and you're facing it, like looking down, what side does that go in? And he goes, I think the right. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad it's not just me. But I said, what if I told you that I thought the same thing and it's now on the left side and the shape is different and we haven't gotten a new dishwasher? And he was like, wait, what? So I sent him photos of it and he was like, logic brain taps right in and he's like, well, maybe we're just remembering wrong. I am not remembering wrong. I'm so fucking weirded out.
like, the thing that also, like, tipped me off was that both sides were closed. And I'm like, I just finished loading the dishwasher. Why are these consoles closed? Usually after the dishwasher runs, they leave them open. And I'm like trying to like open the right side. And I'm like, why is this not opening? And it opens the wrong way. And it's like the pre-wash area. And it opens like this. And I was like, it used to open like that. Where like you pop it up and it go boop, bump. No, the hinge went boop. No, ma'am. No. Again, might have had a stroke. I don't know. But I'm telling you, like, I'm fucking with it, trying to get it open. And it opens a way that I am not familiar with. And I'm like, okay. So then I look to the other side and I like slide this thing across and it opens up to, there's already dish detergent in there? I just loaded it. I just finished you guys. And like I said, the shape is different. The one that prior to today, the square or the rectangle, it was actually more of a square. It's now like a wide rectangle. And it was a square like this, it was deeper. So if you put a pot in there, like it almost fit perfectly. And now it's like wider, and I sound crazy, but I am telling you, like, this happened. Anyway. Nothing is real. We live in a simulation. I don't know. That is all. Thank you for sticking around. And please share your own stories of glitches in the Matrix, because I love this shit. But, like, I haven't had this shit really happen, and it's really scary when it does. Anyway. I'm also just really confused about how there was already detergent in there. Thank God it looked like the detergent that we use already. I would have completely lost my shit. But, like, the fact that it was on the wrong side, a different shape. Anybody else experiencing some weird shit? Because I'm pretty sure I just jumped timelines, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay, I need to talk about the literal craziest glitch in the Matrix experience I ever had, and my close friend was a direct witness. We literally watched an object, like, disappear and vanish in front of our eyes. Like, I've literally tried to come up with, like, every possible logical explanation that it could have been, but I've never been able to come up with one to this day. So basically the story is, we're on a trip, we're in LA. Both me and my friend were hunched over on the floor. Her head is like right here, right next to mine. We're really close. And I have a pile of my jewelry in my hand. This specific earring backing was like at the very top, and it's like clear, it's like a very recognizable shape. Like none of my other jewelry looks like this. So we were talking, chatting, it was right here. And so for a moment, I take the box, this is my fake jewelry box, and it passes over our vision. So, like, we can't see it for, like, a second. And, like, I don't move at all. Like, we're still talking. And then by the time that, like, the box is, like, I move it and it's gone. Sorry, I was just, like, hella stumbling over my words. But, like, it was genuinely something so shocking. We both, like, targeted on my hand. And we were like, where did it go? Like, what happened to it? I was like, girl, like, I don't know. I didn't move. Like, you saw that too, right? Like, I just covered it and it was gone. And we were both tripping for a second. Like, the floors were hardwood and clean, so we were just, like, looking around. Like, did it bounce somewhere? Did it get caught on my clothes? But no, like, that thing was gone in thin air. And we spent the next, like, 10 minutes, like, actually just, like, on the floor looking for it. Like, looking in every possible place. But no, it was just, our vision was covered, and it was gone. And so, it, like, had us both really confused, but it was, like, whatever. Like, we're packing up, we gotta get home. And I just remember being so distraught over that earring, even though it's like a Temu earring. I was still just like, God, like, I really wanted to wear those. I was really upset. And I remember my grandma always telling me, like, you can pray for your lost items to come back. So I was just kind of like sending out little prayers, like, please bring me my earring backing, please. Like, it was erased from existence. Like, there was literally, it was gone. And then fast forward like 6 to 8 months later, like just one random day, I walk into my room and it was placed neatly on the top of my bed, like just like it was placed there. And so I ran with the earring backing into my grandma's room and I was like, grandma, look what I found. Like, I was praying for this, like I wanted this earring backing. And she looks at me like with just pure shock, and she's like, and I was like, girl, what's wrong? And she said, a piece of jewelry I had been praying for years showed up today. It was a necklace that her mom gave her, and she said that it showed up in a place it absolutely shouldn't have been. It was placed right on top of her socks in her sock drawer. And she knows that, like, that was just put there because she, like, uses socks every single day. But yeah, that was just, like, the craziest thing ever. Like, if I didn't have another person there to witness this actual object disappearing, then, like, I genuinely don't think that anybody would have believed me. I think that everybody would have thought I was tripping, that I just dropped it or whatever. But the both of us saw it literally completely vanish. It looked almost like a magic trick, like sleight of hand, but, like, I don't know. I still can't explain that one.
So y'all, I think I just had a glitch in the matrix. So I was at the nail salon and I was getting my toes done. I wanted them to be sparkly white. And the lady doing my toes, she put like the first coat of paint on my toes. And she looks up, and I swear to God, I can put it on my existence. She looks up and she goes, maybe I should put this on top of like regular white. She was like, maybe I should put this on top. And I looked at her and I was like, oh yeah, you can put it on top. That's fine. And the lady doing my toes, the lady doing my nails, and the lady doing my boyfriend's pedicure stopped. And they looked at me and they said, how did you understand her? And I was like, what? And she was like, she just asked me in Vietnamese, the nail lady. She asked the other nail lady in Vietnamese, should I just should I put this on top? And they were like, how do you know Vietnamese? They started freaking out, losing their shit. How do you know Vietnamese? Y'all, that, my brain, I don't know. I heard it in English.
I am on the way to work and I just had the most unsettling experience and I need someone to explain this to me. I take the same route to work every single day or every time I work, and I'm like 15 minutes past my house. I'm on the highway. I have an hour drive. I always put it in my map so I can see if there's traffic or cops up ahead, and I'm listening to an audiobook. Like, I'm very aware of my surroundings, and I get to a point in the highway where the 3 lanes turns into 2 lanes. And the car in front of me was going really slow, and I was like annoyed because I was thinking, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to get in front of this car before the lanes turn into 2. I'm going to be stuck behind them. And then there was like a little glint of light, and I looked out my window and a plane flew in front of the sun. It was very pretty, it was shiny, and I was like, oh wow, the sun looks so cute. I wish I could take a picture of, like, I'm driving and my windshield is dirty. Like, I had all these conscious thoughts. And then the lanes just keep being 3 lanes. And I'm like trying to look around the car in front of me to see when it's going to go down to 2 lanes. And I'm like, I'm about to like have to merge. And then it doesn't merge. And there's like trees. And this part where the highway does that, there's no trees in the median. And I'm like, wait, that's weird. And then I look and there's an exit for Shore Pump, which is like an exit that I'd already passed 5 miles ago. 5 minutes ago. So I'm like, wait a second, did I like black out and take an exit? Am I going the wrong way? And I look at my maps and it says now my ETA is 6:50 instead of 6:52. So I took 2 minutes off. And I'm like, that's so weird. I just passed Short Pump like 5 minutes ago. Like, what is going on? And then I freaked out thinking, like, am I having a stroke? And I started getting really sweaty and my heart started racing. And I'm like, am I having like a medical emergency right now? I couldn't even speak. I was just like looking at the road and I became so disoriented and confused. I was like, I have absolutely no idea where I am right now, and I drive this highway every single day on the way to work. And then I see the sign for the exit, which is like a mile before the lanes become 3, and I was like, I was literally just here. And I look over and there's a plane flying in front of the sun, and the sun looks beautiful, and I thought, like, okay, sun still looks really good. There's a plane up there, but I just did all this 5 minutes ago. And I somehow took 2 minutes off, and I know that I didn't exit. Like, I didn't. Essentially, I was somewhere, and then I somehow ended up like 5 miles behind and drove through the same thing again. And I don't know if I just drove through like a glitch in the matrix or like a wormhole or a little timeline hop or what just happened, but it was the most unsettling thing. And it wasn't like I zoned out and didn't realize where I was. Like, I was very focused on the road, very focused on the traffic, listening to my audiobook, like very with it. I didn't zone out. I was there. I almost merged, and then I never merged, and then all of a sudden I was back. And I passed the same thing all over again. Except for it was a different car in front of me. And there wasn't traffic. And I didn't get stuck behind any slow cars. And I'm so uncomfortable right now. I literally have goosebumps. I feel nauseous. Somebody explain to me what that was.
I went on a trip to California that still freaks me out to this day, so I'm going to tell you all about it. It was August of 2023. My friend and I were going to Disneyland to celebrate my birthday. We flew into California on the 21st, and we were supposed to fly home the 26th. The first night that we were there, it was a normal night. We checked into our hotel, we went to dinner, and then we just went to bed because we had an early day at Disney, and the next day is when stuff started to get really weird. We started our first day off in Disneyland, and we planned to go Disneyland, California Adventure for the 4 days that we were there, and we also had park hoppers, but at the time, you could only park hop starting at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe. When we got to Disneyland on our first day, I remember that one of the first things we wanted to do was get an energy drink after we had eaten breakfast because we knew we were going to need it to keep our stamina up throughout the day. I was complaining to my friend that they never had any of the Monster flavors that I liked, that I loved the sugar-free watermelon Monsters. They always just had the Ultra Zero Monster or the original black and green Monster, and we kept looking around to see if there was any other options, but sure enough, everywhere we went, those were the two options that they had. So we ended up just buying one of those and moving on with our day. As we continued throughout our first day, we kept seeing twins everywhere. We were kind of laughing it off because it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was kind of odd because we kept seeing twins that were not only identical twins in the way that they looked, but they also were dressed identical. And it wasn't just the kids, it was the adults also, which was kind of odd. Later that night when we were heading back to our hotel, we wanted to stop at CVS and get some snacks and some travel-sized toothpaste because we were worried that we were going to run out of the little toothpaste that we did still have left. So we went to CVS and we actually asked a worker if they had a travel section because we could not find a travel section full of mini toiletries anywhere, and the employee that we asked said no, we only have full-sized items, and he showed us where we could go and get toothpaste from, and then we headed back to our hotel for the night. The next day we started our day at California Adventure, and we still kept seeing twins everywhere, and that's when we were starting to get a little freaked out because not only had we seen so many sets of twins the day before, but we were still continuing to see them, and it could have just been one of those things where because we noticed them so much the day before, we were still noticing them, but it definitely stuck out to us more on the second day. And later in the afternoon when we were able to park hop over to Disneyland, we went to Disneyland and we were kind of dragging, so we decided we wanted to get more energy drinks, and the first spot that we went to get an energy drink from had watermelon zero sugar Monsters. All of a sudden they had them right after I was complaining that they didn't have them, but I still was just kind of trying to brush it off because I didn't think that it was for me, but it just felt really odd. And as we continued walking, every single area that sold a sugar-free Monster, the flavor that they had was watermelon. Everywhere. That was one of the first really weird things that I still will never forget to this day. But then when we were walking back to our hotel that night, we decided to stop at CVS again because we wanted to get more snacks and we wanted to get some water. So we go to CVS and we pick out some snacks, we grab our water, and we go to check out. And as we are walking towards the checkout, there is an entire section full of mini travel toiletries. An entire section. And that I still can't explain it to this day, and it sounds so unbelievable. And we even actually checked our bank accounts to make sure it was CVS that we went to the night before, because there's also a Walgreens across the street, and sure enough, it was CVS. We were at CVS and we had been at CVS the night before, and all of a sudden there was a travel section. The next day was my birthday, and it just didn't really feel like my birthday. The whole vibe just kind of fell off, and the whole day just felt really weird, but nothing super significant happened. My friend did have a ring that she lost the stone in, and I was wearing some earrings, and I lost the stone in one of my earrings, which was kind of odd. And we were still seeing twins because that didn't stop our whole entire trip. But other than that, the weird vibe just stuck. The next day we started in California Adventure, so we get to the park and we go to California Adventure to scan in for the day. And when we go to scan in, they tell us that we actually start our day in Disneyland, which we were so confused about because we had double, triple, quadruple checked, and the whole entire time leading up to the trip and while we were on the trip, we knew that our plan was to go Disney, California, Disney, California. So it made no sense to us that on our last day that was supposed to be California Adventure, they were telling us we were supposed to start in Disneyland. So that just kind of threw off the whole day because we were just really confused. Those had not been the plans that we had been looking at over and over and over again. Later that night, as we were walking back to our hotel on our final night in California, I got a notification from our airline that our flight that was supposed to leave Saturday the 26th at 1 p.m. had actually been pushed to later that night, Saturday evening, which was kind of annoying, but it was fine because then we just had more time in California the next day. So we go back to our hotel and we end up just going to bed. And then when we wake up in the morning to pack all of our stuff to get ready to go, I go in the bathroom. I had packed all my clothes and I just had my toiletries. And as I was going to pack my toiletries, I had packed up everything, and then I saw one of my lip glosses on the counter, and I was kind of confused because I didn't think I'd brought that lip gloss. I hadn't used it the whole trip, and it's a lip gloss that I own that really tastes horrible, and I don't even know why I still had it at that point, but I just threw it in my toiletry bag. And then I went in the bedroom again to see if my friend was done packing, and she had told me, yes, I'm done, but you forgot your lip gloss. And I looked at her and I was kind of confused because I was like, well, I just packed a lip gloss, but maybe it's another one. And then she picks it up and hands it to me, and it was the same exact lip gloss that I had just packed, but it was brand new. It had never been open. So I told her, this isn't my lip gloss. I have that lip gloss, but I just packed it. And so I went to grab it out of my toiletry bag to show her that I had already packed it. And all of a sudden there was 2 lip glosses in my toiletry bag. The one that was opened, and then there was another one that was not open that was also brand new in the package. So there was 2 in my toiletry bag. She's holding one. All of a sudden there's 3 of this lip gloss that I absolutely can't even stand. 2 brand new in packages, and 1, my old one that I've clearly used. And that still just freaks me out. It still freaks me out. It makes no sense. And I still have all 3 lip glosses somewhere. After the lip gloss debacle, I ended up getting another notification from the airline that our flight now was not leaving that night, but it was actually delayed until the next morning at that point. So I was super annoyed because we had to get another night in a hotel. We ended up switching hotels, and when we got to the new hotel, I remembered that I had a friend who was actually supposed to be flying into the same airport on the same airline and the same airplane that was supposed to be the airplane we were taking back to Utah. So I texted her and I said, hey, are you having issues with your flight also? And then she texts me back right away and said, I'm going to call you. It has been an absolute shit show. She calls me and tells me that Friday night they had been getting texts about their flight being moved up on Saturday morning. So they ended up going to the airport early Saturday morning to see what the heck was going on. And when they got there, they're told, yes, your flight has been moved up. So eventually they boarded the plane on the earlier flight, and they ended up unboarding everyone just minutes later because the flight had less than half the passengers on it. And then 2 hours later, they boarded them again, and then they took off with still less than half the passengers because the flight was leaving early, which does not happen. This whole situation was so confusing to us at the time, and it's probably confusing to you as you are listening, and it still to this day does not really make sense to me, and I can't wrap my head around what exactly even happened. But my friend and her husband landed in California, and she actually talked to the pilot because she was still leaving the plane, and the pilot says, yes, this plane is going back to Utah in 20 minutes, and it probably is the flight your friend is supposed to be on because it's the only flight leaving this weekend, and then we don't have any other flights until next week. So the plane takes off. We're not on it. Lots of people also weren't on it because not only did it leave early, but everyone's apps are still showing them that it's delayed until Sunday. I also called Orange County Airport to see if they knew anything that was going on because I couldn't get a hold of the airline, and they told me that they also could not get a hold of the airline. And not only that, but there was no airline employees at the airline's desk, and air traffic control was not seeing any of their planes in the sky. What the hell? Later that night, I checked the airline app again, and sure enough, it shows us as checked in, and then the flight completely disappeared off of the app not too long after that because according to the airline, we were on that flight safe and sound back in Utah, even though we are still in California. So the next day, we ended up renting a car and driving home because flights were way too expensive. And that's pretty much the whole entire story. I'm no longer friends with the girl that I went on that trip with, and I kind of, looking back on it, think that maybe that was the universe's way of telling me that weird things happen when I'm with this chick and I probably shouldn't keep hanging out with her.
You are probably right. I'm going to tell you another story, and it is not deja vu, it is not deja-reve, it is a secret third thing, and I would love to know if anyone has ever experienced anything like what I'm about to say. So this happened in November, end of November in 2021. I was living with my ex at the time, and we were making dinner. I'm standing at the island in the kitchen, and she has her back turned to me. She's facing the toaster, and I remember this specifically because she was toasting bread to go with her spaghetti, and I was having a thought process of, I just had never heard of anyone toasting bread to go with their spaghetti. I'm sure that's a thing. Like, I've heard of garlic bread and spaghetti, but I just hadn't thought of like toast with spaghetti. So I was thinking about that. Again, her back is facing me. She starts talking. All of a sudden, in the middle of her sentence, my ears start ringing like crazy. Disclaimer, this is when I start to sound absolutely insane. Okay, you don't have to tell me. I know. I feel a sensation I have never felt before, which is the feeling of being above my body and slamming back into it, as if I was just somewhere else and I have just arrived in my body. And in the same way, you know when you wake up from a dream and like you're clinging to the details of the dream and it just starts to slip through your fingers the moment you wake up? Like that, I was starting to forget where I just was. But I was repeating a few things over and over again in my head from where I just was. And those two things were, why am I here again? I've already done all this and I have to do it right this time. Again, why am I back here? I've already done all this and I have to do it right this time. Over and over, that was all I retained from it, but it was a physical sensation of dropping into my body, like almost like I respawned in a video game. I had this distinct feeling that I was older. Like I don't know how to say that without sounding insane, but the first few moments of me being back in my body were spent looking around in disbelief and wonder that I was back here again, which terrified me. And simultaneously, almost as if it was like a visual, and I know this sounds fucking crazy, almost visually, I can see in front of me the paths from that exact moment. On one of the two, like, paths, if you will, is me responding normally to what my ex was saying. Like, she was saying something about her pasta bread and I responded normally to that. And then on the other side was the one that I felt like I was on, was the one where instead of responding to the bread comment, I said, hold up, I just had the most insane fucking deja vu of my life. But before I felt the path fork sort of situation, for a split second, it felt as if, and I know this sounds insane, but it's important, it felt like I was holding two memories of the same moment, and then they changed, and then that path went that way, and I went this way, and I could no longer see that, and then it all faded. It was all over in like 10 seconds. But this is where it gets insane. I say, hold up, I just had the most insane deja vu of my entire life. I feel like I just slammed back into my body. That's all I said. I'm expecting her to just be like, wow, that's crazy, because that's what everyone always does. Instead, she turns around and looks at me with absolute horror in her face and says, wait, that happened to me today too. She said, I was standing in the aisle hanging things at work and I felt like I slammed back into my body. And she said, I didn't even say it out loud. She said, I felt like I was holding two memories of the same moment and then it split. And we just stood there staring at each other in absolute disbelief. And I never was the same after that. Ever. It changed my entire perception of time. Like, it broke my brain. I actually for a while was afraid that I had experienced some sort of psychosis or something, so I would talk to my therapist about it, and she was like, this does not sound like psychosis to me, but it bothers me to this day, because there was a distinct feeling that I felt in that moment that did not feel like deja vu or deja-reve. It was distinct, and it's never happened before, and it's never happened since, and it fucks me up because those are the only two things I remember. Like, why was my thought, I have to do it right this time? Do what? Do what right this time? That's a lot of pressure. What happened last time? Did I die and then respawn for real? Anyway, my whole life changed after that. And for the record, I'm pleased with my life now. Like, we're good. Everything's great. Has anything like this ever happened to any of you? I don't have words for it. And since we're on the topic, I felt like it might be a good time to bring it up because I've been searching for answers. Also, fun fact, me telling that story was actually the first video I ever recorded on this TikTok account. It's still sitting in my drafts. I obviously never posted it, but I recorded that video like right after it happened because it was so insane that I was like, I feel like I should share this with the internet, but then I was scared of the internet back then. So I didn't, but now I'm telling it. And does anyone know what it was? Thank you so much